Right now, I'll be teaching you how to get yoked at home. So building the upper back, traps, and neck. Starting with the horizontal movement pattern. Make inverted rows in your religion, my friend. Although I'm a huge fan of pull-ups, I feel like the rows do a slightly better job at emphasizing that yoke region, which is really going to add that depth to your back. This way, when you turn sideways or around, it's a three-dimensional pop. That's how you look massive without even trying. So high volume inverted rows will get the job done. Personally, I do my pull-ups first, row right after, but you can do whatever order you like. Some really good protocols would be 5 sets of 10, or even 10 sets of 10 if you choose to do that. But I think a feasible option for many who are doing home training is a little bit higher frequency. So maybe a 5 by 10, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can never really go wrong with that. And of course, you want to use the variations that are most difficult. If you find the standard inverted row to be a bit too easy, elevate your feet. I promise it'll be challenging. And worst case, you can always add weight plates, but trust me, most lifters won't need to do that, myself included. So I like it with rings. I like it upside down the power rack. Though if I'm doing it upside down, I might have to do a 5 sets of 20 instead of reps of 10, given the fact that it's slightly easier. So rows will always be an important part of any yoke program. If you really want to optimize the gains, develop those mid to lower traps, and get that pop that really makes you look big, you can't go wrong with this time-proven exercise. And you can see my full video I made on the subject. I'm not going to repeat the things I talked about then, okay? But that's your number one. And to complement it, we want to focus on the upper trap specifically. That's how you look massive from the front, where you're completely relaxed. You just got this bulldog action. Looks really cool too. So the best way I found to do this at home, and keep in mind I'm going to talk about other methods, is to utilize band shrugs. But you'll need a heavier band. If you're using minis or monsters, not really ideal. Otherwise, you'll be getting reps of 50, no problem, even with strict form. You'll need some lights or average. So if you don't have them already, do so before they're sold out. Or if you do have them, congratulations, you got a tough exercise. This will be extremely comparable to going heavy on power shrugs. Similar sensation, but the reps are slightly on the higher side. So you won't be doing reps at 10, most likely in the 20 range, which is fine. It's fine. Is it ideal? Is it the best possible scenario? No, not really. I like heavier weights. The traps have very high strength potential, but hey, it works. 5 sets of 20, and for this to get more out of less weight, do the slow and control with the squeezing. Yeah, you heard it here, bro. Look, it's not my preferred method, but if it's all you got, what else are you gonna do? You'll still get a great pump, and if you program them at the end of your workout, I would argue that they're more effective in that way, which is what I personally do. I never start with slow and controlled shrugs. It's always at the very, very end. So my pull-ups, my inverted rows, then you finish off with the shrugs. And by the way, your face pulls and even your rear delt flies will also contribute if you're doing the full range of motion. Now, if you're doing the partial just to emphasize the side and the rear a little bit more, that's fine. But for the purpose of building that three-dimensional pop, get that full squeeze in, okay? When you're doing any type of pull. And that goes for the pull-ups as well. I recommend you arch your back. A lot of calisthenics athletes will keep themselves completely upright. I say emphasize that arch, and you'll get a much better contraction in the upper back specifically. So besides that, I want to talk about some other things you could do, which is emphasizing handstand work. A lot of guys don't realize this, but it's all synergistic. You get better at those handstands, there's a tremendous stabilization element which seeks to develop the upper back traps. Unbelievable, but I promise you that it's true. You do this exercise, you're going to be sore in that region without even doing a pull. And it's the same thing when we talk about overhead press, by the way. Notice how those who do vertical pushes and horizontal pulls are yoked out of the damn mind. There's a very good reason for this. The muscle activation is very similar. It's the same reason why when you do neck training, it connects the upper traps. Same thing, man. So the stabilization aspect cannot be ignored. And I'm telling you right now, if you start getting good at the handstands, you will thicken up in this area. Not the most optimal way, but it's a blend. And that's what I'm trying to talk about in today's video. There is a formula to everything, and yoke training is no exception. So instead of emphasizing the regular push-ups, really direct your attention to the handstands, and you'll get much better results in the upper back and traps. And then to comment that as well, we can't not talk about gymnastic rings. The first time you do this, mark my words, your mid to lower traps specifically, oh my goodness, the pain will be immense. Do some simple Rto dips. Actually, they're not that simple. I mean, it looks simple, but they're hard as hell. You dip all the way down, and then when you come up, you externally rotate, right? So your biceps are basically facing away from you, and you're depressing your body. That stabilization aspect, bro, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you do it. And to be honest, I still haven't mastered it. If you look at my gymnastic form, it's like, what the heck is this? I need lots of work. But even with my subpar form, I can feel the upper back and traps because this is one of the key components, stabilization. It's the same reason why farmer walks are very effective. Obviously, there's the weighted stretch involved in that as well. What I've also come to realize over the years is that your arms are shaking a little bit and you got to keep that very stable. And that does seek to build the area a little bit more. I've noticed this universally whenever doing any yoke exercise. So the rings will greatly contribute, especially if you're doing some more advanced moves. And also there's certain exercises that can directly target things like the upper traps, like shrugs. Yeah, you can be upside down and freaking shrugging. It's a weird looking exercise, but it works. Or simply doing your pull-ups on the rings. If you're gonna do pull-ups, might as well be on the rings because now you can freely rotate your hands and get a better mind-muscle connection, quote unquote. So that's absolutely key. And keep in mind, pull-ups will also contribute to your yoke. Even when I neglect my rows, if I'm doing a lot of pull-ups, weighted or just for high volume, I'm still looking great in that area. So don't think for a second that they're not important. I just talked about inverted rows being the primary factor because they do a slightly better job. But yeah, do your pull-ups, do them off the rings, and then immediately after, you're doing your inverted rows in the same setup. Yoke gains are gonna explode. But then there's one final aspect that needs to be addressed in direct neck training. Mark my words, if you skip your neck workouts, like if you built a big neck with direct work and you stop, you're gonna lose the gains. It's happened to me countless times. It's happened to my audience. Over and over and over again, history repeats itself. So don't make that mistake. Do direct neck work. It is the optimal way to do so. And like I've been saying for years, it connects to your traps. If you get stronger at neck extensions, your shrug will go up. And it makes you look more yoked as well, because that's literally what it is. Like a naturally enhanced, I label neck as the #1 muscle. I would argue that's more important. If you have a super thick neck and average traps, that's gonna make you look more yoked than having big traps with a pencil neck. That's my opinion. You could disagree. But I find that thumb action is very hard to beat in terms of getting that freaking monstrous appearance. And you're even seeing on myself, like my traps are still a pretty good size, but since my neck is shrunk, I look less yoked. So do your direct work. And I recommend the neck flex, which is the best harness on the market. This way, if you do have weights, you can do that as well. But most importantly, it's versatile. You have your bands, so you can do all your fundamental movements from many different angles. And there's also the doorway mount that it automatically comes with. So you can set it up in the house. And you can do it outside if you choose to do that. You can put on top your pull-up bar, like there are many options to choose from. And this will get the job done. There's unlimited options. You can stand all the way back for more resistance. You can modify the angles a little bit. Put it like this, if Mike Machine Bruce, the man who's been known for having the strongest neck in the world, is still maintaining his size and strength of this device alone, that speaks volumes. And as someone who's been using the original one for years, I can tell you that the improved version is even better. And keep in mind, this video is not sponsored by Neck Flex. I do have a little link and I get a small commission for mentioning it, but there's no discount. I'm not being paid to make this video. I'm just saying that it's a really good device and it's the best thing that you can do at home. You don't need a 4-way neck machine. It takes no space at all. Just shove in your closet, you're good to go. So neck training is absolutely key for maximizing yoke. It always has been. And if you're doing that, I promise that your results are going to be the best on all levels. So this is the complete formula. We're doing a bunch of inverted rows, band shrugs, handstand work, gymnastic rings, and then the neck training to top it all up. Like, that's optimal right there. This is maximized. There's no weak links behind. This is how you correct problems completely. You never have to wonder, oh, if I would have added this, would my gains be slightly better? No, you're doing it all. Doesn't have to be in the same session, but get it all in, okay? And with that said, I'm done talking. That's how you get yoked at home. Let me know if you have other insight you'd like to share, and I'll see you in the next video.